Hi everybody, I hope you're having a great day. My name is Arya and I'm from TerraWorld team. Today I'm going to show you how to create a scene like the one as you're seeing right now by using TerraWorld Lite and changing one of our pre-made templates. Okay, now I hope you're ready and let's begin. First, you have to open TerraWorld Lite from the Tools menu up top. In our videos, we usually tell you to search the name of a location in order to find it. But this time, I'm going to use the exact same coordinates of the location that I want to generate. In order to do this, you need to open the interactive map, which has a globe icon. Since I already have selected my location for this video, I'm going to enter the coordinates. As soon as you enter the coordinates, the interactive map will load the location. Once the map is loaded, you can zoom in and zoom out and even change the size of the area which is going to be generated. Okay, now that we have selected our area, it is time to generate it with our default template. This is the generated area. We are going to make this scene by changing the one which is created by our default template. The asset which we are going to use today is Synty Studios Polygon Tropical Nature, and this is its demo scene. We are going to import the models and elements of the demo scene into our own project and then use them instead of our default graph models. In the graph section, head into custom and then click on edit in order to start modifying the graph. This is our default template graph. Since we want to create a tropical island, we don't need the houses. So let's disable the house nodes, which are the object scatters in this case, so that no houses are placed in the scene. The difference between removing the nodes and disabling them is, if you remove the node, in order to place the same house again, you need to add the node and set up its settings and parameters from start, and it's just extra work and not worth it. But if you disable the node, the house is not going to be placed in your next world generation, and you can still place the house if you enable the node instead of setting up the node and its parameters again. Now that the houses are removed from the scene by disabling the object scatters, it is time to change the models of our GPU instance scatters, since all the major elements of our scene are placed with these scatters most of the time. GPU instance scatter 1 is a small stone which is not bad for the scene, so we are not going to change that. The first model which is going to be changed is going to be for scatter 2, which is a bush. In order to change the model of the scatter node, just click on the small icon at the right side of the prefab section. All the prefabs have names, and for this video, since I already know my scene setup, I am just going to search the prefab names and insert them into the scatter nodes. Okay, we changed the models. Now it is time to change the terrain layers as well. In order to change the terrain layers, just click on the small icon right side of the terrain layer in the node. And note that I'm not changing the logic of my terrain layers. I mean, I'm not changing their masks or replacing a grass layer with a rock layer. I'm just using the grass terrain layer of the tropical asset instead of the default terrain layer as an example. Terrain layers are done as well. Now it is time to change our grass model. In the graph, we have multiple grass scatters, but the main grass is scattered by grass scatter 6. Click on the small icon right side of the material in the node in order to change the grass material. Since we changed the main material of the grass, we have to set its mesh and billboard material as well. These parameters have also been explained in the previous video. One last important change that we have to make to the grass scatter node is changing its scale. The reason for this change is for our template we designed a very small grass and then we made it bigger by increasing its scale. But the grass in the tropical asset is in normal size, so there's no need to upscale it. If you forget to change the scale parameter for the new grass material, the grass which is going to be placed on your scene is going to be huge and it will take over all your scene. Okay, now I'm going to show you how you can place clouds by using object scatters. In order to do this, on one of the object scatters, click on the icon right side of the prefab section. Select the cloud prefab and you are done. We changed the objects and grass and added clouds. Now it is time to change the water material. In order to do this, you have to change the material for water generator node. Now let's generate the scene to view the changes which we made. As you can see, the same area looks very different just by changing the models and terrain layers and grass and water material. And there are no clouds since I forgot to turn on the cloud scatter node. We changed the waterbed layer with the sand layer, but I would like to add another layer in order to create a beach. Okay, first I have to add a Landcover mask from the mask nodes. Then in biome type section, select waters. Then check borders only option. This means that the node is going to create a mask of water edges. The last thing which we have to change in this node is the edge size parameter. Edge size specifies how thick the edge of the water area and the mask is going to be. Meaning if you increase this parameter, the mask and thus the beachhead is going to be bigger in terms of distance between the water and land area. Now the input of this node is from Landcover type, so I'm going to connect the Landcover outputs of our first node to the inputs of biome type filter 4. In order to add a new terrain layer, you have to add Unity terrain layer to terrain texture node from the terrain texture section. We already created the required mask for this node. So all we have to do is to connect the mask output of biome type filter to the mask input of Unity terrain layer to terrain texture node. Now just to specify the terrain layer and connect the output of the node to the end node. This is where I noticed that I forgot to turn on the cloud node and I enabled it over here. Let's generate the scene again to view the changes. Okay, as you can see, we have objects placed on the beach and our rock layer as well. Let's fix it. In order to fix this issue, we need to change the mask of our GPU instance scatters. What we want to do is place the objects everywhere but on the beaches and the rock layer. In order to do this, we need to subtract the masks from the beaches and the rock layer. Now I'm going to show you what subtracting is and what it does. First, add a mask mixer from the mask section. Then connect the mask which we created for the beach layer and the rock layer. Now we need to add another mask mixer. Please pay very close attention to this part. I connect mask mixer 16 to mask input B, and the other mask, meaning mask mixer 3, should be connected to mask input A, and I will tell you why in a second. Until now, blending mode for mask mixers, which we showed you in our videos, was OR. When the blending mode is OR, as you can see, both of the circles below are green. It means combine mask A and mask B. But now I'm going to change the blending mode to sub. As you can see in the circles below, mask B is removed from mask A. Mask B is mask mixer 16, which is the combination of flowaway mask, which is used for rock layer, and the Landcover mask, which is used for the beach layer. Mask A is the default mask, which is used for the scatter nodes, which is mask mixer 3. The output mask of mask mixer 17 means I want to have a mask of mask mixer 3, but remove all the rock layer and beaches from this mask. Now I'm going to connect the output of mask mixer 17 to all the GPU instances scatters which mask mixer 3 was connected to. As you can see, GPU instances scatter 6 has a different mask input from the other scatters. This scatter's input is mask mixer 13, unlike the other scatters, which their input was mask mixer 3. So we have to do the same thing that we did for mask mixer 3 to mask mixer 13, which was removing the rock and beach layers. Again, we add another mask mixer and put the blending mode on sub. Just like the previous stage, we connect the default mask to mask input A and mask mixer 16 to mask input B. And then connect the output mask of mask mixer 18 to the input mask of GPU instances scatter 6. I'm going to repeat the same process on GPU instances 9, 11, 12, and 13, since they too have different inputs from the other nodes. Now that we fixed the masks for the GPU instances, let's fix some of their parameters as well. One of the important parameters for these scatters is rotation. We have three sorts of rotation: surface rotation, 90-degree rotation, and horizontal rotation. Surface rotation is for objects which are placed on the surface perpendicular. Surface rotation is for objects placed perpendicular to the surface, like stones or flowers or bushes. But horizontal rotation is used for objects which are placed on 90 degrees regardless of the slope of the actual terrain. 90-degree rotation is used to rotate objects only 90, 180, and 270 and 360 degrees, and it is used to rotate objects like buildings in cities. So let's fix the rotation settings for all the nodes. Okay, now let's add a couple of new GPU instances of our own. We want to place these objects on the beach, so we are going to create a new Landcover mask. We change the biome type to water and then check the borders only option and put the H size on 50, since the Landcover node for our beach terrain layer has an H size of 50 as well. H size is also multiplied in scale value. As an example, if I increase the H size a bit, you will see that the objects are going to be placed beyond that 15 meters of the beach layer. Okay, now let's connect the Landcover inputs of the node as well. Now I want to place 3 different objects on the scene, so let's add 3 GPU instances scatters. I connect the mask which I created to all 3 of the nodes. Let's select the objects that we want to place on the beach. Just like the other GPU instances, don't forget to select the correct rotation parameters for these nodes as well. Since we created these nodes ourselves, I want to show you another key setting which is really useful in organizing the scene and how these instances are scattered across the terrain. This setting is placement distance. As the name suggests, placement distance specifies the minimum distance between the objects. Right now the value is at 10. It means anywhere that this object is placed, the next object of same type is going to be placed at least 10 meters away. Since I added 3 objects to the beach, I want to add one more object outside of the beach. Let's add another GPU instance to scatter and select a prefab for it. Just like the other nodes, I checked the correct rotation settings, and now it is time to create the mask for this scatter. Now please pay attention to this part. Earlier we subtract the beach layer and the rock layer from the masks of other GPU instances scatters. Since I don't want to place this rock on the beach and next to the last 3 nodes which we added, we have to subtract their mask as well. So let's add a mask mixer and combine mask mixer 16 and biome type filter 5. Now the mask mixer which is used for most of our scatters is mask mixer 17, so we are going to subtract mask mixer 23 from mask mixer 17. This means that I want this object to be placed on mask 17, or to remove all the areas of mask 23, which is both of our beach masks and the rock layer. Now I'm going to set the placement distance and generate the scene again. This is the generated scene and it has a couple of issues. But the first thing we see is the grass, which is placed both on the beach and the rock layer. We encountered this issue because we subtract rock and beach layers from our GPU scatters only, and we did not subtract the layers from our main grasses scatter. So let's find our grasses scatter in the graph first. Here is our grasses scatter. Now we need to know which mask is used for the node. Mask mixer 6 is the mask which is used for the grasses scatter node. So we have to subtract the beach and rock layer masks from mask mixer 6. And you already know how to do this, right? So we add the mask mixer and then connect the masks. I just need to emphasize on the fact that when you want to combine 2 masks, it does not matter which one connects to which inputs of the mask mixer. But when you want to subtract a mask from another one, it is really important that you connect the mask which is going to be removed to mask input B. Let's generate the scene again to see if the grass is removed from the beach and rock layers or not. Okay, grass is removed from the beach and rock layers, as you can see. But the 3 GPU instances scatters which we placed are beyond the beach. If you remember, in their mask node, which is biome type filter 5, we increased the scale from 1 to 1.03, and that is the reason, because I wanted to show you how you can place objects beyond the beach. You can either increase the scale or you can increase the edge size. So let's put the scale back to its default value, which is 1, and then decrease the edge size so that the GPU instances are placed more inward on the beach. Okay, now let's generate the scene again. As you can see, the shipwreck which was here at the edge of the beach is now gone, so that issue is fixed. The next thing, which is pretty obvious, is the clouds. Clouds should be higher, so let's fix it. If you remember, at the beginning of the video, we disabled all of our object scatters in the graph and then replaced one with a cloud prefab. So you can view all the layers in the scene from the hierarchy tab under TerraWorld train. If you select game object layer and then the object scatter 1, you can modify cloud layer settings. Cloud altitude is low, so we are going to increase its altitude by increasing the Y offset. In order to fix this water issue, just increase water Y position just by 1. You can modify and move water boundaries as well. In order to do this, select the water layer and then click on Edit Objects. You You can select and move each of these vertexes in order to change the water boundaries. Now it is time to organize the GPU scatters. You can select each of the GPU layers from the Hierarchy tab under GPU Instance Layers. After selecting each layer, you can view its settings and parameters in the Inspector tab. In order to find the best parameters for each layer, I'm going to turn off all the layers from the Hierarchy tab. This way we are able to see the changes we make and their effects in the scene. First parameter which we are going to change is model's distance. Model's distance is in the node parameters as well. Model's distance, just like I told you, specifies the placement between the objects of the selected layer. As you can see, the number of placed models in the scene is 16,777. Now, if I increase the model's distance from 20 to 40, this number is going to be changed to 3,516 placed models due to the increased distance. And if I decrease this distance from 40 to 10, the number is increased to 64,904 models since the distance is reduced. The next parameter is a slope range, which specifies in which slope range the objects are going to be placed. Now click on Update Changes in order to apply the changes we made. I'm going to change these settings for the other layers as well. Now once I apply the settings on layer 11, as you can see there are only 2 models placed in the scene. And there's not a single model of layer 13 placed in the scene. This is due to the same problem of layer 11. This is how the scene looks like after we applied the changes. Now time to fix the issue of layer 11 and layer 13. Layer 11 and layer 13 had different masks, so we are going to change their masks to the same mask that the other layers had. Now please remember that the settings which we changed from layer settings in the Inspector tab are reset if you generate the scene again. In order to prevent this issue, we have to enter the settings in the nodes as well. As you can see, the scene looks much better now, and time to show you a little trick. I'm going to add a simple cube and just make it bigger. Then I'm going to give it a custom layer called volume, which I created earlier. You can give it any name that you'd like, it doesn't matter. I'm going to give it this custom material which I created earlier in order to make it look better. Now if you select TerraWorld from the Hierarchy tab, you can see a setting called Layer Mask. Layer Mask tells the software on which layers the elements are going to be placed. Layer Mask is set on everything as default in order to include all the layers. But right now I'm going to exclude the volume layer which the box or the cube is set on. As an example, I'm going to set the cube over here and make it even bigger. Now click on Force Update in TerraWorld in order to see what happens. As you can see, except for grass, no other scatter or object is placed where the cube was. Had we checked Include Grass Layers checkbox below Layer Mask, grass would not have been placed here either. This is because we told the software to place the layers everywhere but in the volume layer. You can select the cube and duplicate the cube by Ctrl D on your keyboard and place as many of these cubes as you like. And you can make them invisible if you turn their mesh renderer off. If you select a layer from the Hierarchy tab and click on Edit Placement from the Inspector tab, you can add or remove the object from your scene by using the brush. Now, if you pay attention, you will notice how the trees are placed in a row and in an organized pattern. This is because of a parameter called random position. If random position is low, trees are placed with a pattern and in order, just like an orchard. And if the parameter is increased, trees are scattered without any particular pattern or order, as you can see. The last thing which I'm going to do is show you some of the settings used for the lighting of the scene, and this is the end of our video. Thank you very much, have a great day, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't subscribed yet.